So what if your application is working, but you have no idea how well it's working? In this explainer, we're going to take a completely blind e-commerce app and transform it into a higher-performing, fully observable system. We're talking about moving from just hoping your app is okay to actually knowing it is.
Let's start with a few questions that, well, might hit a little close to home. First one, is your application really fast enough for your users? And I don't mean on your super fast development machine, I mean out there, in the wild.
And what about pressure? What happens when you have a flash sale or a big marketing campaign kicks off? Can your app handle that sudden surge of traffic without just falling over?
And here's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you know any of this for sure? Are you just kind of guessing, hoping for the best? Or do you have cold, hard data to back it up? Because if you don't, you're flying blind.
So let's really dig into that challenge, this idea of flying blind. The core problem is having an app that, on the surface seems totally fine, but underneath you have absolutely zero insight. No idea about its health, its performance, or how it's really behaving under pressure. And this is such a common spot to be in, right? You've built a solid Node.js and MongoDB application. It does what it's supposed to do, but what's happening under the hood? It's a total black box. You have no idea if it's running efficiently or if it's on the verge of collapse. All right, so how do we crack open that black box? We're going to need the right toolkit. Let's take a look at the 3 key technologies we're going to use to bring real observability and, frankly, some serious performance to our application.
First up is Redis. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as an express lane for your app's data. So instead of making that long trip to the main database for every single request, Redis just keeps the most common stuff in a super fast in-memory cache. The result? A massive drop in response times.
Next, every good investigation needs a detective, right? Well, that's Prometheus. Its one job is to constantly gather performance clues, we call them metrics, from every single part of your system. We're talking the Node app, the database, the Redis cache, everything. It collects all the raw data we need to figure out what's really going on.
And the final piece of our toolkit is Grafana. Look, if Prometheus is the detective gathering all the clues, Grafana is the evidence board that puts it all together. It takes all those boring raw numbers and turns them into these beautiful, easy-to-understand charts and dashboards. It literally tells you the story of your system's health at a glance.
Okay, so we've got our tools. Now let's look at the blueprint. How do all these pieces actually fit together to create one cohesive, high-performance, and observable system?
The flow here is actually pretty clean. A request comes in, hits the Node.js API. The API is smart. It first checks the Redis cache. If the data's there, boom, super fast response. If not, okay, then it goes and queries the MongoDB database. And the whole time, Prometheus is in the background, just constantly scraping metrics from every component and feeding them right into Grafana for us to see. And the best part? The entire stack, the whole shebang, is orchestrated with Docker Compose, which makes it surprisingly simple to get up and running.
But of course, let's be real. No project is ever perfect right out of the gate. Even with a solid plan, you're going to hit some roadblocks. So, let's get into the trenches and look at a few real-world problems that popped up, and more importantly, how we fixed them. First up, a classic issue. Authentication failed. You've probably seen this a million times. Both the Node API and the Prometheus exporter just couldn't connect to MongoDB. The fix turned out to be getting that connection URI exactly right, which meant we had to specify the auth source as the admin database. It's such a tiny detail, but it makes all the difference. And along those same lines, the MongoDB exporter kept telling us the database was down even when it was running perfectly fine. The culprit? You guessed it, another authentication problem. The exporter needed its own special, correctly formatted URI with the full credentials to be able to connect and scrape those vital metrics.
And here's a common Docker headache. Prometheus couldn't find the services it was supposed to be monitoring. It just kept throwing a no such host error. The fix was simple, but absolutely critical, making sure every single service was running on the same shared Docker network. That way, they could all talk to each other. And finally, the moment we all dread, seeing that no data message in Grafana. You know you've set everything up, but your dashboards are completely empty. This almost always means the data pipeline from Prometheus is broken somehow. The solution was to double-check that Prometheus's configuration was actually pointing to the right targets, and then setting a frequent scrape interval, like 5 seconds, to make sure we had a nice, steady stream of fresh data. So, after working through all those challenges, we finally get to the best part, the payoff.
Let's look at the absolutely dramatic impact this new stack had on the application's speed and its stability.
I mean, the results were just wow, staggering. Before we put in the Redis cache, the average API response time was hovering around 200 milliseconds. After caching, it plummeted to just 5 milliseconds. That is a 40 times increase in speed. Just incredible.
But raw speed is only half the story, right? We also had to put this thing under some serious pressure with a load test. And the result? It handled an average of 840 requests per second, sustained for 30 seconds straight. That is a massive amount of traffic.
And here, this is the most impressive number of all. Across more than 25,000 total requests during that intense load test, the success rate was 100%, not a single failed request. This proves the system isn't just fast, it's absolutely rock solid.
So what are the big takeaways from all of this? Let's kind of wrap it all up and summarize the key learnings here.
I mean, think about it. We've walked through how to build a complete observability stack using Docker Compose. We've seen that whole workflow of Prometheus scraping data and Grafana making it look good. We tackled those common real-world exporter and networking issues. And, of course, we saw the raw power of Redis caching, and then proved it all with a proper load test.
And this brings us to a final, really crucial idea. This quote just captures the whole point perfectly. Monitoring is not a one-time setup. It's a continuous feedback loop. It's your system constantly telling you how it's doing, so you can improve it, so you can trust it, and ultimately, so you can sleep better at night knowing that everything is running exactly as it should be.